The crash came without warning. One moment, Leo drifted through the quiet stars in his small survey craft, and the next moment alarms screamed around him. He fought the controls as a wave of static tore across every screen, drowning out signals. And scrambling navigation, the ship trembled under his grip panels, sparked metal shrieked. Then the craft broke through the clouds of an unknown world and slammed into the ground for a long moment. Leo lay in the tilted cabin and tried to breathe steadily. His ribs hurt, but nothing felt broken. He forced the hatch open and stepped out into the air of a strange valley. The sky shimmered with 2 moons and a lavender haze, plants taller than houses swayed in a warm wind. He checked his scanner atmosphere, safe life signs everywhere. Had no idea that he had landed on a world shaped by warrior traditions. He had no idea that the people here fought battles not for land or territory, but for the right to choose a partner. He had no idea that the undefeated queen of these warriors would soon learn of his arrival. He only knew that he needed shelter, and that his ship was cracked beyond quick repair. Footsteps approached large shapes. Moved between the trees, Leo ducked beside a rock. But it was too late. They had already spotted him. A group of towering women emerged into the clearing. Their skin bore patterns of bright mineral colors. Their armor looked grown from bone and metallic vines. Each carried a spear that hummed with faint energy. They moved with the confidence of champions. Leo raised his hands slowly. The tallest among them stepped forward. Her voice had a deep, steady tone. She said one word that sounded like a challenge. Leo shook his head and replied in calm tones. He explained that he was a traveler who had crashed and meant no harm. She studied his face, puzzled by the softness of his features and the absence of combat markings. She gestured for him to follow. They brought him to a vast settlement built around a natural stone arena. Hundreds of women trained within it. Every movement was disciplined. Every strike echoed with strength. Leo realized that the settlement revolved around combat rituals. What he did not realize yet was that these rituals were directly tied to choosing a partner. Winners gained the right to select losers accepted there. Ranking the warriors led Leo to a hall where a massive throne of carved crystal stood. On that throne sat the queen. Her name was Mara. She wore armor edged with violet mineral plates. Her eyes held the focus of someone who had never known defeat. When she saw Leo, she did not react with fear. She reacted with fascination. Mara rose and walked around him slowly. She noted his smaller frame, his lack of weapon scars, and the controlled steadiness in his posture. He was not built like her warriors, yet something about him made her gaze sharpen. She asked who he was. Leo introduced himself as a survey pilot from a distant star system. He explained the crash. He said he only sought to repair his ship and return home. Mara listened in silence. Then she gave an order. Leo was to be given shelter, food, and protection. Her voice carried such authority that the entire hall obeyed immediately. Leo spent the next several days observing the customs of the settlement. The people were fierce yet honorable, despite their intimidating presence. They treated him with unexpected respect. Everyone watched him as though unsure of what he might represent. Some saw him as fragile, some saw him as strange, but many saw something rare, a being who showed no intention to claim, conquer, or challenge, a being who did not fight for selection to them. This was an anomaly. Mara visited him daily. She asked questions about his world. He answered with care. She asked how humans lived. He explained that people formed bonds through trust, not through combat rituals. Mara found this idea astonishing. Her world viewed strength as the foundation of every bond. Still, she seemed drawn to the difference. One afternoon, Leo observed a ceremonial match in the arena. Warriors clashed in dazzling displays of movement. Every strike was both art and discipline. The victor was cheered and then guided to a chamber where potential selections awaited. Leo realized that partnerships here were granted by triumph. Not quiet mutual agreement, yet he also noticed warmth in how selections were accepted. It was not coercion. It was tradition, woven with honor. Later that evening, Mara summoned him again. This time, she looked unsettled. She said the council had learned something. A signal had been detected near the crash site, a beacon from his ship. Other warriors believed it meant that more outsiders might arrive. Some feared conflict. Some feared change. Leo felt a familiar ache. It reminded him that he had comrades who expected him to return, but he also felt a strange heaviness. His days with Mara had formed a quiet connection. She listened to him in ways that felt rare. She respected him in ways he did not expect. He sensed that she wrestled with something unspoken. The next morning, an alarm shook the valley. A rival clan approached. They demanded a championship duel. This rival clan had long sought the challenge Mara for the right to rule. Rumors spread that they had learned of Leo and believed his presence weakened her. They wanted to prove that her attention to an outsider made her vulnerable. Mara stood before her people. Her voice rang clear across the arena. She accepted the challenge. Her warriors roared in unity. Leo watched with tightening breath. He had seen her train. He had seen her strength. Yet he also understood that even great champions could fall. The duel began at midday. The arena filled with thunderous cheers. Mara faced the rival champion, a towering fighter named Aura. Their weapons clashed with sparks. Each movement shook the ground. Leo stood among the spectators. His hands trembled as he watched the queen battle with relentless precision. The duel lasted longer than any Leo had seen. Mara and Aura struck blow after blow. Their armor cracked. Their breaths grew heavy. Finally, Mara seized a final opening and struck with decisive force. Aura fell. The crowd erupted. Mara remained undefeated, but as she turned toward the watching crowd, her eyes searched not for praise, but for him. She sought the human who had arrived from the stars. Her gaze found Leo. He felt a rush of awe and confusion after the duel. Celebrations ignited throughout the settlement. Yet Mara did not join at first. She approached Leo in the quiet of the evening. Her armor still bore marks from battle. Her hair carried the dust of the arena, and yet she stood with a calm, firm presence. She told him what the council had debated, that the arrival of a human raised questions about alliances, that some believed he could be claimed, that others believed he should leave. Then she looked directly into his eyes. She said she had reached her own choice. She said that after the duel, tradition allowed her to make a selection as champion and ruler. She said she would choose only once for the season, and then she spoke the words. She selected him. Leo froze. He had known their customs. He had seen warriors choose those they admired. He had witnessed the honor they placed in selection. Still, he had not expected the queen herself to choose a stranger from the stars. He asked why. Mara answered with no hesitation. She had fought countless challengers, but none had intrigued her like him. He carried no blade, yet he possessed courage. He sought peace instead of dominance. He understood hardship without using it as aggression. Her world valued strength. But she saw another kind of strength in him. She said she did not choose lightly. She said that selection did not bind him without consent. Their tradition valued honor. Her choice only declared her desire. His acceptance was his own decision. Leo felt the weight of her words. He looked around at the settlement. He thought of the warriors who had welcomed him. He thought of how Mara had treated him with respect from their first meeting. He considered the reality. If he stayed, he would forge a new bond on a world that valued him. If he left, he might never see her again. That night, he walked alone beneath the two moons. The wind carried scents of unfamiliar blossoms. He thought of home. He thought of Mara. He thought of the strange path fate had drawn at sunrise. He stood before the arena. Mara waited. Her warriors formed a silent circle. Leo stepped forward. He spoke clearly. He said he accepted her selection. A wave of warmth passed through the gathered warriors. Mara's stern face softened. She stepped closer. With calm dignity, she placed her hand over his. In their culture, that single gesture signified recognition of a chosen bond. It symbolized trust, respect, and future unity. Leo knew there would be challenges. He would need to understand their traditions. He would need to learn their ways. He would need to find how a human fit into a world built on strength. But he also knew that he would not face those challenges alone. Mara stood at his side. Together, they faced a future neither had predicted. Her undefeated legacy remained, but now it included the human she had selected. A quiet certainty settled over him. He had crashed here by accident, yet somehow he had found purpose, and the world that once seemed alien now felt like a place where he belonged, not because of fate, not because of ritual, but because a queen who had never lost a battle had looked at him and chosen him.